Hey, what's up, guys? This is a quick tip with Miro about clip and volume automation within Ableton. Basically, wanted to go over how you can reduce string slide and fret buzz with this handy trick. It's a thing that I didn't know about for a while and kind of became influential to my workflow. There's a few other creative uses of it as well, so I'll show you those here in a minute. But first, let's go over the guitar. So this is a track or a loop that I opened up from 2018, and it's pretty simple right now. I'm gonna probably flesh it out to be my next full track, but just was playing around with it. So anyways, this is how it sounds without any clip or volume automation, so you should be able to hear some string sliding going on between the chord changes. And so it changes from there, but you get the idea. So this is it with the clip and volume automation applied. It essentially is much, much cleaner. And if I didn't go over it, this is how you open it up. You end up clicking this button over here to open up your envelope window specific to your clip. Now, the cool part about this envelope here is you can automate any other effects or parameters within your effect chain. So it looks like I got a compressor, a noise reductor, as well as dynamic EQ and a guitar effect. So you can automate specific parameters to each clip. Now the great part is that if I were to duplicate this clip over, it keeps and use in a separate section of the song, it keeps the envelope automation, so you don't have to worry about cutting out that string slide in a separate section of the song. So let's hear what it sounds like with that automation applied. So it's much, much cleaner. And the cool part is, since this is an envelope, you can use angles and curves within the essentially with your pencil tool and the automation tool to fade the sound out. If you weren't paying attention, your clip volume is essentially going up and down over here, and that's obviously what you're automating. So then you can leave your channel fader for your main mixing and turn up the entire track to sit better in the mix when you get to that point. So it kind of keeps these things separate and is a really powerful tool. So one more time, this is it with the clip automation applied. So it's a way of really cleaning up your performances that, like I said, is very handy. So let's take a look at another few examples. So this is my recent release, Stripes. I've received a lot of questions about how I created this riser and pitch down effect. So let's check those out real quick. So in isolation, sounds like this. So it's essentially the same thing that I've been talking about. It's using your clip envelope here, but instead of automating the volume like we were before with the guitar, I'm automating the pitch bend related to your MIDI control surface or the MIDI note. So this is just a single MIDI note that's holding out, but it's bending on this riser from -12 semitones up to the note, and then on the pitch down, it's actually going from the note only down 2 semitones. So what's interesting is that while the envelopes might go from, minimum to maximum or vice versa, it's limited to your tone generator. So I'm using Serum to make these riser and pitch down effects, but obviously you can see I have different settings within my bend range. So the cool part about clip automation is you can also record it into the actual clip, much like in the automation or arrangement window. You can see that I did that here within this middle section. So let's check this out real quick. So obviously you can tell with these ones, I ended up using my MIDI controller to record these sections, and I think I used it from the get-go. I just cleaned this one up because I probably messed it up, so I drew that one in. But you can obviously just draw it in once you open up your clip automation, and essentially you can use it to shape your sound. So again, it's a very powerful tool that you can just copy, cut, paste, and put in place and not have to worry about your arrangement automation, and more so use your arrangement automation as well as your channel faders for big picture sort of mixing stuff versus, individual creative uses. So I like to use the, clip automation more so for assembling the parts versus, opening up like a cutoff filter. That might be something I would put in the arrangement window. So in this final example, I wanted to show you how I used clip automation to add some variation to this bass line. So this is my track Epiphany. Go check it out now if you haven't heard it yet, but it's part of my collaboration project. So ran into a bit of a hitch where my buddy had a different bass plugin that he created this bass line with, and since I didn't have the plugin, we had to freeze the audio, and I had to work with the audio. So he essentially, wrote it so that the bass line is just chugging away from the get-go. Now, I used clip automation to add more variation to the actual bass line. So this is how I received it. So it's just those straight eighth notes chugging away, and that might be great for a drop section, but as part of the intro and as the bass drops in here, I didn't think that really fit right away in terms of building up to the drop. So this is how it sounds after adding the clip automation there. So you can use clip automation here to add variation to actual parts. Now, had I had the same plugin as him, maybe I'd go back and mess with the individual MIDI notes, but then I wouldn't get the same effect as, kind of fading in these notes here and almost creating a pumping feeling with the bass line. So it's a very powerful tool in that sense as well. So the other item worth mentioning here is this unlinked and linked section within your clip envelope. Right now it is unlinked, and that's why you do not see any audio behind it. If I link it again, kind of like how we've seen it before, you can see the audio, and we are specifically chopping out this section of the underlying audio. If you unlink it, you can start to mess with polyrhythms and create even more variation and interest by maybe taking a not so standard loop brace length and running it over the audio. So now you only get a bar and a half of this envelope over the original set of audio that I received from him. So Obviously, this is not the effect I wanted, but it'll sound different, and it won't ever get to these chop out points. So it's just another creative tool for you to mess with, and that's actually what I did over here. And the reason it's unlinked is within this break and build section, I essentially have a 9.5 bar loop here, but the clip itself is 12 bars long. So right towards the end of this, right here, it's actually looping back to the start of this and playing that audio with this envelope applied to it. So again, it's just another creative tool, which is pretty cool. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. Like I said, go check out Epiphany or Stripes Now if you haven't heard them yet. They're pretty interesting tracks. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I'd be happy to get back with you. Stay safe and healthy out there, and we'll talk to you soon.